Hey, Joe Mastriano here, and welcome to the Joe Mastriano Experience live at 5. And tonight's topic of the three main topics that I talk about IRS representation, managing control in your life so that we can all have financial freedom or any other thing that we want to be successful at. I'm going to talk about the IRS. In 1980, I started my CPA firm after working for a few firms doing tax returns. I started doing returns when I was 19 years old in 1975. And so, I'll clean my glasses here. And so I got really good at it and I wanted to help people. I watched that people were being taken advantage of. So I have over 40 years experience. I've done thousands of cases. I've had my own um, things that I developed, like corporate liquidations, where I help people trim their payroll liabilities down to just the withholding and Social Security. I save them the matching of the Social Security interest, the penalties, the 940 tax, and any corporate tax. There's things I've learned to do that other people don't do. And because of that, I have attorneys and CPAs as clients. But let's talk about what's going on at the IRS. Once COVID hit and they changed the uh, administration, a lot of problems that the IRS was having, that they were trying to balance, started falling down. They had people working from home, broken equipment, all kinds of things. By now, a lot of people know by going to the IRS's website. They trashed powers of attorneys. They've lost returns. There's millions of paper returns that have not been filed yet. And now, bringing you up to date past that, they're trying. There's a lot of people now that are barely trained. There's managers going in different directions, trying to take care of two or three groups because there's managers of groups that really aren't very well trained. And a lot of them have the good ones, the older, more experienced ones have retired. So you can call up the IRS. Give you a good example. I use a program called Pitbull Tax. And just earlier this afternoon, I finally got connected and it was in progress. It goes from computer to computer. And for the whole hour, it was still in progress. That's how backed up the computers were. And I timed out after an hour, so I still didn't get those transcripts. And you get routed like crazy. You think you're calling collections and they send you the customer service. So people who in the past have had IRS experiences, such as being audited, it's not the same. People that have had payment plans, that's the hardest thing because it took me a number of years to realize that my experiences with payment plans were different than other practitioners. I would swear I was right about certain things, and then I would bump into people that said, "No, Joe, I also did these number of cases just like you, and I found this to be true." And so that happened a few more times afterwards. And I realized that there's certain things that have to take place. And I'll be happy to tell you that right now. Everything is on the IRS transcripts. So if you think you're in a payment plan, there's probably a 90% chance that you're not. Why? Because the IRS has to code each year's liability, normally with an agreement code like the number 60 or 63 or 53, currently not collectible, but they don't. Um, they put on the transcript, this period is part of an installment agreement. So if you don't have that for each year, you have an open year. And you could refer to letters and what people told you, and it doesn't matter. It's got to hit the transcript. And then they don't really coach you on filing and paying on time. there's so many people who think they're paying on time and they're not because they went to H&R Block or some other kind of company or they read in a guide. And one thing that comes up quite often is that they met the exemption to the penalties. So how could they be late? Well, you could be late and meet the exemption to the penalties, and therefore you're still late. You just weren't charged penalties and you broke your installment agreement and you could be levied. So there's a lot of internal things that most people don't realize. So to help people, I have to say, you really need to get to the bottom. You can't call the IRS and put yourself in their hands and say, well, I got this letter, tell me what to do. Doesn't work that way. You need to have an understanding. You need to get your transcripts before you even have any kind of conversation about solutions. You need to make sure they logged in your returns properly. If you filed a bankruptcy or other legal actions, it needs to be on the transcripts properly. And you need to make sure that you're taking care of everything altogether. I've come across people who have a payment plan for 1 year, and then they set up a payment plan for another year. And there's people at the IRS that'll set up payment plans for you all day long, and it's ridiculous because it needs to be put together. Or I remember recently this past year, some woman client of mine was going through a divorce, and she was like so angry. I mean, a lot of us are angry when we go through divorces. And I warned her not to set up a payment plan with her ex or soon to be ex-husband. She insisted that he was going to make the monthly payments. And sure enough, he didn't. And they levied a big paycheck. So you really need professional help, even if it seems small. I do consultations. You can call Stephanie 713-774-4467. She'll set you up. But it's important that you deal directly with somebody licensed as a representative. So all of these tax relief companies that are not professionally licensed firm, like a law firm is a professionally licensed firm, a CPA firm is a professionally licensed firm, or even an enrolled agent who's not professionally licensed, but they're licensed by the IRS. That's the person that should take full responsibility and have the vast majority of the time working your case. But what a lot of these companies do is they hire salespeople, they sign you up, they put you in the system, you call up, and nobody knows you really. They look up your name and they tell you, oh, you talk to this person or that person or some manager if that person's not available. And a lot of people over the years have come to me because they really got very frustrated and nobody can tell them what's going on. No one wants to give them copies of the transcripts. So the bottom line on dealing with the IRS is you have to, unfortunately, the way the government is now, they tell you anything they want to tell you, and you get different stories and pushed into different departments. And I mean, I could tell you stories all day long about what's on their system and how there's missing information or people wrote their notes up wrong and the person you call at collections has no idea what's going on. And then they have to write it up for the manager. And I've had managers disappear. I've had a payment plan that took about 2 years to happen because nothing ever got to the manager. And then they would kick letters out and it wouldn't even make sense based on the conversations that we had. So bottom line is, if you have a CPA or an attorney or an enrolled agent, and that's what they do every day, and they're going to personally work your case and not hand parts of it down to juniors, that's what you need. Now, I do that, done that for many years, kept my rates low, only $195 an hour. I do charge for all time. I don't pad bills like attorneys and CPAs that pad bills do. But there's other people, I've come across other people that are good at doing this. They just need to personally do it, because what happens is people start hiring people. I used to have a lot of employees and had to let them go. This is a very responsible work. So I always tell people, if you're looking to hire a professional, and you should, contact Stephanie, set up a consultation, and I'll tell you what's going on in your situation and the best solution. And you could do what you want from there. I've had people do their own installment agreements. I had one retired individual on Social Security. I coached him. He did his own offering compromise. Offering compromises run thousands of dollars. He did his own. He contacted me, paid me for about 3 hours in the middle of it to set them right and to understand what paperwork they got back on the calculation of the offer, that two-part formula, equity and assets and income minus allowable expenses. They also play games over the statute periods. This is nothing that, I mean, again, I have attorneys that charge more than twice my rate, and I've had CPAs as clients. Just because you go to school and you learn the law and you learn how to read doesn't mean you have the proper experience to deal directly with the IRS. So I hope this talk is very informative for you. At some point, I will get a product out where I actually teach people all the ins and outs and how to do it themselves. Tomorrow and Thursday, I'm going to do videos on managing control in your life and how important that is, and how I've had major success in money, relationships, and my health. I've been running marathons. I'm in my late 60s. And the other thing is financial independence. I've started an affiliate marketing group, and I'm with a group, 4%, they're called. And just go to joemastriano.com, joemastriano.com, and take a look, join. They have free information. They have starter packages. I started with the gold package because I trusted them and it was a smart idea. And so I'm just going to keep doing this until more people come. And I've got to increase my social media contacts and my emails, and this will grow. I don't know anybody with my level of experience with IRS and my managed control of your life that I've developed about 3 years ago is just so unbelievable that I've had about 35 people, attempt to do it, and they all quit right away because there is no magic pill to anything. You could take all the Tony Robbins courses or anything, and he's made many, many millions, but the impact of people in the world is they still don't, manage what controls their life. And that's the key. And it's a lot of hard work and discipline, and you can make it easy, but we tend to not make it easy. It's kind of counterintuitive, but once you understand that and you learn to make it easy and you work on yourself a little bit each day, things will just unfold like crazy. You'll get major benefits out of anything you do. I know people that believe firmly in the Bible, and they kind of resented this. And when I explained to them that they'll get more out of the Bible, they did some of this, and they were able to recognize, they have a lot more confidence, and now they spend more time reading the Bible and following the teachings But then they kind of, gave up as far as other things were concerned. I mean, I've had a rough time myself. I've had a month or two where I didn't do it because I didn't see benefits. And I realized that the benefits came from being engaged in it. And now that I know that, so, sometimes I'll get so involved in work that I'll forget to write my notes for a week. And when you do that, you can kick yourself, or you could accept that that's you. That's one of the biggest acceptances, is that instead of having these ideals up here, and if I don't meet it, then I'm disappointed. If I don't meet something, I realize that that's me and that's where I'm at now. And I've worked on total acceptance of where I'm at now. And I bring that into my relationships. No more excuses. You know, the guy that cuts me off going to work, I quit cursing them out, because my life is not about people from the outside that get in my way. My life is my focus on what I do, and I kind of send them love and um, just move on from there. So all these things open up for you when you do very, very basic stuff. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, I'll make that tomorrow's topic. And I'm going to end this now, and hope you all come tomorrow for the McOil talk, or at least, afterwards you can listen to this video when I post it. And that's it.